the biggest thing is about having your dream and then having that trust and faith and taking action on your part to make that dream come true, but also receiving blessings from spirit to help your manifestation come to pass. And I think that it's really helpful when you have your development, your intuitive development honed, because when we're manifesting something, usually there can be a lot of fear involved because it's like usually big. It's like a new job or
Mm.
financial abundance, love relationship, and then you get into your head and you're like, oh my God, I this is never going to happen. It's impossible, and all your doubts start to come through. So when you are able to connect to spirit, then it's easier because you can receive these messages saying, no, we're helping you, and these are the ways in which blessings are already coming into your life, and you start to see those signs and synchronicities that everything is going to be okay.
Welcome to Heart Parents. Let's connect with our kids and learn together. I'm Carrie. I was a former teacher and speech therapist. I'm also a parent of 2 spirited, gifted, highly sensitive kids. I was quickly brought to my knees as a parent when I thought that I would see a rosy lens version of parenting just as they present on Instagram, but I quickly learned that's not real life. I will provide real life experiences and transform them into moments for connections and change for you to use in your house. Hi there, conscious parents. Before we start today's episode, it's Carrie here, and I wanted to reach out to ask you guys for a quick favor. As a follower of our show, we would love for you to give us a 5-star rating and leave us a review. It can be just a few words, that's it. And it really goes a long way with us, with the podcasting community on Apple or Spotify. So thanks so much for tuning in, and I'm so excited for you to hear today's message. Happy listening. Hi there and welcome back. So I have Sarah Itkin here. She's an intuitive coach and intuitive development instructor. She has skills rooted in her gifts as a psychic medium, angel channel, and theta healing practitioner. She helps clients who are struggling to overcome obstacles like feeling stuck, moving through challenging life events, anxiety, depression, grief, and loss. In our earlier chats, we were talking about developing our intuition pieces, and I love thinking about this piece when we're talking to our children. And I love talking to my kids about it. I feel like even when my kids were 4 and 5, I would begin these chats. Have you heard of any of these pieces when talking to kids about it?
Yeah, I mostly work with the parents, but there are so many kids, I feel like, in this young generation who are naturally coming into their psychic abilities because everybody's intuitive, but it does seem like there are a lot of people that have intuitive children.
Mm.
And then the ability to be able to see and talk to angels and deceased loved ones. And I think that it's just instead of shutting down anything that your child might say, if they saw, let's say they saw their grandmother in a dream or and they talk about it, or a lot of kids will say, I just saw grandpa, and they talk about grandpa all the time, even though they never met. I think it's just good to listen and have an open heart and open mind and just say, maybe tell me about that, tell me more about that. And then just understanding also the significance of having an intuitive child just means they might be more sensitive, more empathic, so they might have more challenges regulating their emotions. And so just understanding where that comes from and learning how to manage that with
Yeah.
sensitivities.
Yeah, definitely. Because I love thinking about these pieces, allowing the child to be themselves and to feel safe sharing these things that may go on in their lives or these feelings they may have in their lives. So I feel as our kids are growing up, if they are the empathic or highly sensitive, we can tend to have certain responses to them. No, we don't say that, or we don't see that, or shutting them
Right.
down when they're trying to communicate that. And so many of us may grow up with that. We start to build layers of protection upon ourselves. And even in society's pieces of growing up and the pressures of society, I feel as I grew up, I started to put different layers of onion layers of protection around me. And as an adult, it was having to remove those layers and learn Reiki and mindfulness and meditation, all of those pieces to help me to come back to where I was when I was a child.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so many of my clients have come to me and said, that they had these experiences as children, and they just eventually just created walls around their abilities, and because it was scary, they didn't
Mm,
have that validation and support.
interesting. So, how does developing intuition, connecting with spirit, how does this transform lives? You've mentioned that you've
Mhm.
seen that.
Yes. So just imagine how powerful it would be to listen to this divine guidance system that we have. So it's like making decisions, navigating relationships, navigating career, everything basically. Think about what you would do if you were able to listen to your intuition,
Mm,
and that could spark creativity and any situations that would be in your highest and best good, because you're listening to the core of who you are, you're listening to your inner truth. And we so often just ignore those parts of you. And also just like imagine being able to connect to any angel spirit guides if that's part of your belief system. And I see these as non-religious celestial beings that are here to help us. So imagine what it would be like if you're feeling alone and scared, and that you have no one to talk to, you're not sure if life is going to work out, you're worried about your business, you're worried about your family. Imagine being able to receive messages from the angels that are loving, healing, and just full of wisdom, and feel guided, knowing that you're guided by this wisdom,
mm,
and knowing that you're never alone. And then if you lost a loved one, you have the ability to be able to connect to them as well, and to be able to communicate with your loved one. And it just creates a different type of healing when you're grieving someone, knowing that you can still connect with them and then it's not over, that you can still have a relationship with them. So I just think that we're in our society have been taught to turn all of these gifts off, and for various reasons. And I think that right now people are evolving and stepping into their gifts and noticing remarkable changes in their lives.
mm. Do you have any tips for anybody that's looking to work on these pieces for their lives that you can share with us?
Yes. So there's lots of books out there that I don't know. I
Mhm.
have this tendency
Sure,
not to read. I read, but I don't read in this topic
sure.
because I just draw upon my own knowledge. But I got a teacher, and so that's why I teach, because the biggest challenge is we tend to talk our intuition down and say, oh no, this isn't real for whatever reason. We have all these blocks. And so if you can recognize what your blocks are to your intuition, it could be familial, it could be um, different beliefs that you picked up on from religion. You could have had scary experiences as a child. It could be a fear of being wrong, all these different factors. And if you can remove those blocks, then you can open up your heart and start to be able to receive more. But that's just a place to start. And so, yeah, that's why it's nice to follow like a course or something like that, just to be able to open all of it up.
I like that idea of taking a course or working with a coach. There's a lot of coaches like you and others around. I worked with a coach in the past that also helped me. I did my Reiki, and that was really helpful for me as well. So I love those
Mhm.
ideas. What are some different ways that people experience intuition?
So most people think about the fortune teller, and that's being clairvoyant, being able to see, maybe you have visions or different things in your mind's eye, like a movie in your mind that nobody, you have no way of knowing. And then we have clairaudience, is what you hear psychic information being sent from maybe angels, guides, ancestors, spirit, in a sense. And then we have clair sentience, which is when you feel, you have gut instincts, gut feeling. We all have that. My gut just told me not to take this job. You know what I mean? You
Mm-hmm.
just feel it in your body. And then the more uncommon ones are clair, which is smelling
Mm-hmm.
through receiving psychic information through smell. So it could be, let's say your grandmother's connecting with you and you smell roses and she used to wear like rose perfume.
Mm-hmm.
That's an example. And then clairgustance, which is tasting, receiving psychic information through taste. And I don't know of anybody, I've never met anybody who could do that. And I
Yeah,
don't know how
that's
to
what
teach people how to do that. So
I haven't heard of that one as much either. I agree.
yeah.
Yeah. Is as far as when we're talking about sometimes people will ask for signs, like for me, I see eagles a lot, and my grandmother, or dragonflies is a big one. My grandma loved
Yeah.
dragonflies. Just allowing people to feel the belief for it, right? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yes. So I love talking about signs because signs are coming from, when I say spirit, it just encompasses deceased loved ones, angels, spirit guides, all of those things, animal guides. But especially when it comes from a deceased loved one, and they're saying here, so there are different common signs like birds, rainbows,
Mm.
and I'm trying to think of other. Okay, I'll just stop there.
Yeah,
My
I
brain
heard
isn't
of
working.
someone finding pennies that their grandfather
Yes,
used to give them
pennies.
pennies. I've heard of that
Yes.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pennies, thank you. Lots of different things with nature
Mhm.
involved. And then with angels, their signs are heart-shaped rocks,
Oh.
deceased loved ones often share butterflies a lot.
Oh,
So
yes, I
angels,
have that one.
deceased, yeah, so they'll have numbers is a really big one. As angel
Mm.
numbers is when you see the same number over and over again, and that each number has a meaning. So angels will show numbers
Mm.
as signs, like I said,
Oh.
heart-shaped rocks, heart-shaped clouds, and just to name a few. Angel feathers, you might find a white fluffy feather out of the blue. That's happened to me a couple times.
Oh.
And so they're just saying, hey, we're here, we're here. Basically they're knocking on your door saying, learn how to talk to us. We're trying to talk to you. Like part of your heart has been calling for them.
Mm. Yeah, that's lovely. I love
Hmm.
that. And right after my grandmother passed, she was very spiritual and raised me with a spiritual piece. And we were really missing her because she was a big part of our family. She loved to connect the family. So we were driving home and we saw a shooting star go through the sky on the way home from her celebration of life that we went to. And that
Oh,
was a
beautiful.
really sweet piece. So yeah, it was just, I'm here with you, and yeah, you're not alone. And so I love that
Hmm.
piece. And we'll be right back after this message. Hi there, Changemaker moms and dads. It's Carrie here. I hope you're enjoying today's episode. If there's any pieces of this episode that resonate with you, we would love for you to share it with a friend. A little helping hand goes a long way. We appreciate you tuning in, and here's more. What would you call if sometimes when I'm trying to think of a problem that I have and I get into my monkey mind and it
Yeah.
just continues to cycle. And so I like to go for a walk or take a shower or do something active sometimes to help
Hmm.
me to just stop that monkey mind. Is that part of the process? Am I doing things right?
Absolutely. Yes, because it's really hard to receive information when your mind is running and racing. Even
Mm,
for me, feel like it's very hard for me to connect to my angels, if not impossible, when I'm just stuck in my head because it's just taking up all the room and space energetically. So when you drop into your body, when you drop out of that monkey mind, I love how you said that racing mind, or the mind where you're just thinking the same thoughts, and if you can just stop and drop into your body. And one technique I like to use is just breathing into your heart and
mm,
connecting with your soul, because your soul is spirit just within you. If you believe in God, God resides in your soul. Angels, spirit guides is all within as well. So that's a lot easier. It's just dropping in, putting your hand on your heart, finding your center in your body, and just breathing into that. And then you can start to notice some shifts and start to feel more calm.
Yeah.
And then you can receive more information that way.
It's really interesting because my kids, when they tend to have a sensory moment or they're getting into the right side of their brain where they're very emotional, movement also helps them to just reset themselves. It's been really
Hmm.
interesting how we live in parallels where they're set on something, maybe theirs is more of a sensory based or a fear based. And mine is also set in a fear base as well. So I like
Hmm.
thinking about that. There's been so much research. I'm hearing it more and more in the psychology world of the positive psychology, the mindfulness, and even there's pieces that I'm hearing in the psychology realm. I have to look it up because my husband was just listening, I think, to a an audiobook maybe in the psychology world
Hmm.
talking about manifesting and how when we put those ideas of things that we're wanting out there, it tends to trickle down into our bodies and our hearts and working toward that goal too. So, what are your thoughts on
Hmm.
these pieces?
Yes. So I love manifesting. I love this concept. I like to call it co-creating. I don't
Mm,
know if you ever listened to Abraham Hicks, the angels that are channeled into this one person, Esther Hicks, and they talk about co-creating, which
mm,
is basically working with spirit to bring your desire into fruition, and that it's absolutely possible to do that. And the biggest thing is about having your dream and then having that trust and faith
mm,
and taking action on your part to make that dream come true, but also receiving blessings from spirit to help your manifestation come to pass. And I think that it's really helpful when you have your development, your intuitive development honed, because when we're manifesting something, usually there can be a lot of fear involved because it's like usually big. It's like a new job or
mm.
financial abundance, love relationship, and then you get into your head and you're like, "Oh my God, I this is never going to happen. It's impossible," and all your doubts start to come through. So when you are able to connect to spirit, then it's easier because you can receive these messages saying, "Oh, no, we're helping you, and these are the ways in which blessings are already coming into your life," and you start to see those signs and synchronicities that everything is going to be okay. I think that idea that we can create, co-create, that we can manifest is part of the human experience is a joyful thing to think about.
Yeah, I love it. And I agree. I like that term co creating. I hadn't thought about that piece before. That's a lovely way of putting it. And my husband and I, we wanted to move into the area that we live in Colorado. And it is a really neat place to raise your kids, but it's also very hard to get into. And so I don't know, we used to watch like The Secret and read all the books and think
Yeah.
about these pieces. One thing that really helped us when we were wanting to come into this community was we had lived on this beautiful area where we had this little lake and nature and a little farm behind us. So we were having a really hard time thinking about leaving that and moving to a different community where there was better schools and something that we needed to change in our lives was closer to his work. So we thought in our heads, we were like, this house, it's not just the structure, but it's this nature and this access and this feeling we have in our hearts. We want to be guided toward something that brings that same energy in our hearts. We want to manifest or co create and see this new version of love and feeling at home and being happy and secure and together. And so we worked really hard and we were able to find something that was very right for us where we do feel as happy and connected to nature and connected to each other. But it was the idea, it wasn't when we were working on it, we would meditate together at night. We wouldn't think about, we want to have this house that's a one story with wood floors and it's on the open space. We wouldn't think about those
Mm.
specific structures because who were we to say, this is what we need? This is what we're going to manifest. We thought about the feelings that we would have in our heart and the joy it would bring to our family. And we felt like that brought us so much harmony and peace. So,
Yes, it's all about the feelings. The feelings are vibrations, and the vibrations are high when you have that feeling of that you're already connecting with your manifestation, and
yeah.
that allows it the energy to come through even more strongly.
Yeah, and I think even I like to do it like at a child level. I love to do it with my kids in that
Mhm.
we can work on these positive mindsets. We can work on these pieces of co-creating. And I like to do it before the school year starts with my kids. I would say we would do like a guided meditation, visualizing walking through the doors of the school and feeling peaceful and calm and happy and safe. And we would walk up to the door and I would say, "Who do you see?" And sometimes they would tell me who they would see, but I would also tell the kids, like, let's send it out to the universe. Let's picture you feeling safe, happy, calm, and focus on those feelings. So I love being
That's
able to do that with
amazing.
kids. Thank you.
That's totally amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. So I have I'm thinking in my mind, some people have asked me questions about if we're and you might not be able to, I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but if we're able to manifest these things that we want in our lives, where is the line between, is it manifesting or is it that we're being guided there with intuition? And I further describe that too if you're
Yeah, can you describe that
okay,
more?
sure. So when we were trying to figure out where to move in our community, when we were in the process of moving, I kept having dreams about a certain house in our community, and it wasn't for sale. It was in a neighborhood that we would love. It had the pool, so we were excited. And I had this dream, and I went online and figured out which house it was. And I told my husband, go knock on the door. And he was like, no, I'm not going to knock on the door. I was like, please, you're at work. Just drive home. And what's the harm that could happen? Let's just try it. Knock on the door. And he knocked on the door, and they said, oh, yeah, we were thinking about our son, that we were thinking about it. And so come in and check. We weren't sure if we wanted to sell, but maybe we do. Come in and look. And we ended up walking in, and I could describe things to my husband like I had seen it in my dreams. So we always go back and forth, my husband and I, like, were we guided here with intuition? Did we manifest this? So I'm always curious what your thoughts
Oh,
would be on that.
that's funny because before you said that, I just feel like they're one and the same.
Mm.
When you are open to your desires and you're really open and you're connecting with your soul's desires, since you're connecting with your soul, you're connecting with your intuition. And I think that even when we have a dream, something that we want to accomplish in life, I think those dreams are connected to our intuition as well. Because why would you have that? Let's say I met someone whose dream was to stage homes that were being put on the market.
Mhm.
And why would she have that dream if it wasn't meant to be fulfilled? I feel like when people are open to tapping into that truth, their intuition is open, and then they can even pull in the manifestation more strongly.
Mm.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I love that. I was gonna ask you, I've had a friend who's also an intuition and a coach as well, Paula Smith. She told me, okay, Carrie, you and your husband, you're getting your feet wet in this water, right? But you need to jump full in. What would be if people are getting their feet wet and they're ready to jump in? What would be the next steps for people?
Yeah, that jumping in piece, I think, can be a huge challenge. And I notice that for myself, because even if it's positive changes that you're wanting to jump into, the fact that it's unknown
Mm,
can make you want to stop. Even if you don't know what it feels like to feel that good, or what would it
mhm,
be like it's all new to have this
mhm,
manifestation come true. It's new. So if you're afraid of the new, if you actually have a fear of big change in your life, even if it's positive change, then it can be hard to take that step. So it's looking at that and going, what are the blocks to jumping in? Again, it's always about the blocks. What are these belief patterns that I hold? Oh, okay. For example, I struggle with anxiety and I want to feel calm, but my anxiety is making it such that I'm afraid of the unknown, and feeling calm all the time would be unknown for me. So I'm going to hold back. So it's just like addressing that belief.
mhm,
And that's why I do theta healing, because that could be really helpful with that. And then it's about surrendering. So it's okay. It's about no, like tapping into your strength and knowing that you can handle challenges and you can also handle wonderful changes.
mm,
And any fears that you might have about achieving your manifestation, you can just imagine surrendering, handing it up. All right. For example, the angels are my main divine celestial beings that I connect with. So it's okay, angels, I'm really afraid. I'm going to send this fear up to you and you help me take care of this and carry me to the next step, help me carry myself and help carry me to the next step in terms of taking that leap or that plunge.
mm. I love it. Yeah, that's really helpful. As I'm thinking about this piece for kids, if you could say anything to a parent of kids that are empathic or developing and maybe going into the world, is there anything that you would love to share with parents of these kids?
Mhm.
Is there anything that maybe you wish you had been told when you were a child growing up?
Yes. So I think that it's important, like we learn how to ground and clear and protect our energy. It's important to teach children how to do that.
Mm,
And because children are so empathic, so they're going to be picking up on other people's emotions. And it used to happen to me as a child. I'd
mm,
pick up on like I remember my mom being really sad at one point, and I picked up on her emotions and I just took it on for as myself. And I felt really sad. And so that happened a lot as a child. And so one factor is um, understanding that your child is sensitive and can be picking up and could be experiencing emotion that doesn't belong to them. So it's like teaching them one way of teaching them how to protect themselves is you can imagine that you can help be like, let's pretend that you're a superhero. Let's get your superhero like gear on and what would you use to protect yourself and keep yourself safe as a superhero? Oh, yeah, let's create a shield. You could draw a picture, you could do a visualization, you can imagine them putting a shield on. Imagine them, you can help them imagine walking around in a bubble,
mm.
unprotected light, and then helping them doing clearing, like they can learn how to spray themselves with sage spray, but setting an intention that, okay, now we're going to wash away all the things from the day.
Yeah.
And so just imagine let's wash or when they take a bath, we're just going to wash away all the things, the feelings and that you had from the day.
Mm,
Those are a couple of examples. But one thing to note that's very important is that ADHD and anxiety and depression, to me, and I am no scientist, this is not based on any sort of research whatsoever. This is just me. I feel like there's a correlation between having those challenges and being a highly sensitive, empathic, intuitive person. And I know for me, if I was noticed by my teachers, I would have been diagnosed with ADHD as a child because I was always
mm,
daydreaming. I
mm.
really had a really hard time following directions. So it's just not to say that I'm not saying this to say if your child has that diagnosis that it means nothing because they're intuitive and that's the real
Sure.
thing going on.
Sure.
But it's just, I think that the two can often go hand in hand. And so it's okay, let's really see how my child is an individual and a sensitive
Mhm.
individual and how I can hold space for my child.
Yes. I love that so much. When you're describing yourself as a child, Sarah, you're describing me. The one that
Yeah.
would just zone out, just be in my own little world and was often missed for I had gifted pieces that were discovered later on, but so even the gifted and talented kids are in there too. And right, we're not discrediting those pieces. We're also saying this is something else that you can work on with your kid too. And that's where I was
Hmm.
going with this whole podcast and experience is I'm seeing how much spirituality, talking or thinking about our intuition, thinking about manifestation, thinking about our mindsets and positive psychology, these have all had pieces that have really helped with my kids who are labeled with like gifted and talented and other neurodiverse pieces. Our brain are thinking different. And I'm finding this correlation a lot as well. I've talked to G&T teachers that have talked about teaching our kids mindfulness, teaching them grounding tools, and those are people in the schools that have mentioned that. So I agree
Hmm.
with you. I think there's also so many gifts that are coming with this as well and the next era of our human creation, right? Our humans are coming in and have these wonderful tools with them. We're just having to teach them maybe different ways to use their tools and find their strengths and helping them to protect themselves and release some of that energy that they're taking on with their empath pieces. So I love that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. I am living in a year of passion. That was my word for 2024. And man, am I coming in strong with it. Starting a podcast and everything. I wanted to check with you. What is your passion in day to day, or what are you living in passion with?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. I'd say my passion is to help people recognize I give readings. My passion is my work, but
Definitely.
giving readings, providing clarity, teaching people how to step into their gifts and helping them evolve intuitively and up leveling. And then a passion that I have for myself would be, the word that's coming to me is growth. I'm trying to grow spiritually, emotionally every day. So I feel like that's, yeah, my passion of the year.
Yeah, I love
My word of
that.
the year.
I love that because I think even as we're a specialist in a certain area, being open to grow and learn and work on our own is still important. So it's great. And
Yes.
work, yeah. So, Sarah, where can our readers find you or listeners find you?
You can find me at my website, saraitkin.com. That will be under this link. And on my website, if you would like to receive an intuitive reading, you can book there. I also have a special offering of a intuitive development mini course that's only
Mm,
$17 if you want to start working on developing your intuition. It's a
mm,
self-guided online course. And then I offer my group courses that are live on Zoom. I have
mm.
one coming up the August 25th is when it starts. And then I offer them throughout the year. So you can go to my website and get on my wait list. If that date doesn't work for you,
Great. And we can put all of those, we'll put links for you in the show notes as well. So you can
thank you.
find
I
you.
appreciate that.
Thanks so much for being here with us today and sharing your wealth of knowledge in this area for our kids and our parents alike. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Well, that's a wrap. Thanks so much for tuning in, Changemakers. This is Carrie, and I just wanted to send one more reminder. If you haven't done a review for us, 5 stars, and a little few words about what you've enjoyed in our podcast episodes, we would really appreciate it. One other thing, if you guys would like to ever message me, I would love any questions you have or any feedback at info@hearttoheartlife.com. We also have a brand new website, which we're super excited to share. It's hearttoheartlife.com. Thanks so much for tuning in and happy life, happy times, Changemaker families. Please remember that the information shared on this podcast is educational in nature and does not constitute licensed mental health advice. If you need such advice, you should speak with a licensed professional about your unique situation. Thanks so much, happy listeners.